just let the drums feel your heart resonate with the drums. Thank you. Did you like that? Little taste of drumming. We do that on the full moon down on the Malecon, the amphitheater, 7 o'clock this Wednesday, matter of fact. So, mature masculinity. That's an interesting topic. You probably haven't heard that term used too much. Somebody said to me this morning, I brought my husband here to find out if he's really a man. And, my response was, if you're really a man, just look down here. If your sexual organs go outward, you're a man. If they go inward, you're not. But mature masculinity is not about being a man versus being a woman. Mature masculinity is more about becoming a real man, not a Marlboro man, who, by the way, died of cancer. I don't know if you knew that. The Marlboro man is not what I think of as a real man. Yet that kind of a stereotype, that kind of an image has been fostered upon Western population, as this is the real man. Big, strong, husky, riding a horse, smoking a cigarette. I think of a real man, a man that really embodies the energy of the mature masculine in a whole different kind of way. I like to think that there are 4 basic qualities of the mature masculine, and there's certainly more than that. But I'll talk about the 4 qualities here in just a minute. These qualities are not something that we adopt automatically when we turn 13 or 16 or whatever. And as a matter of fact, that raises a good question there. How does a woman, I'm just going to ask a question here, how does a girl know when she has become a woman? Anybody? What's that?
Menses.
Menstruation, sure. I mean, nature tells a girl that she has become a woman. When does a boy become a man? I'm sorry?
Bar mitzvah.
Bar mitzvah. Bar mitzvah, that's a great model of a boy becoming a man. Any others? When his voice changes, yeah. I guess maybe. What else? Any other ideas?
Yeah, wet dream. When his balls fall.
When he what?
When his knackers fall. When his bollocks fall.
when his bowl is full?
Oh,
I'm sorry. When his balls fall. Okay, all right, sorry about that. So, one of the products of mature masculinity is not really good hearing. What else? I mean, who else would be able, when he starts shaving? Yeah, that might be one. Huh?
Well, it depends on the culture, because certain cultures will have their rites of passage. You'll do a walk in the outback. You'll do a vision course.
Right. I'm going to talk about that in just a couple of minutes here, but I'm just wondering if anybody else has any ideas on when a boy becomes a man. Some might say, when he, oh, did you have one?
When they become responsible.
When they become responsible. Some people might, if you ask a man when he became a man, it might be, when he graduated from high school or graduated from college or got his first job or got married or had his first child or whatever. There's really no biological event that really defines when a boy becomes a man. And yet, the boy cries out. The boy cries out to be acknowledged as a man. And in some cultures, Victor just alluded to this, in some cultures they have rites of passage for boys becoming men. And still, even in the Western culture, there's a bar mitzvah that really acknowledges a boy as a man, but that's just a small percentage of the population that ever have the benefit of that kind of a rite of passage. In indigenous societies around the world, tribal societies, when a boy starts acting out, when he gets to an age where he starts acting out, the tribal elders realize that it's time for that boy and other boys in the tribe to become initiated. And so, in the dead of night, they come and they take the boys from their mothers. And the mothers go, no, he's not ready yet, he's not ready. And he said, get back, woman, we're taking the boy. And they take the boy out into the woods for sometimes days, weeks, even months, and they challenge them and stimulate them. They mentor them, and they teach them about what it means to become a man, to be a man. And when they come back, and some boys don't, by the way, not all boys come back, but when they come back, they've changed. They've changed forever. They've changed completely, energetically. And the tribe sees that. The tribe sees that they are now men, and they treat them as men. They no longer treat them as boys. They know about protecting and defending the tribe and a code of honor. They become warriors. And that term doesn't have a whole lot of respect around that term today because of what a warrior has become. Someone who dominates and destroys in service to a tyrant king. We see an awful lot of that in the world today, don't we? Mm-hmm. That's not a real warrior. A real warrior is somebody who protects and defends the tribe. Somebody who looks out for the welfare of the community. And so that's the kind of, when I use that term warrior, that's what I mean. So let me give you a few statistics here. Let's see. I'm going to give you a few statistics that I pulled off the web the other day. In 2010, there were 1.2 million cases of violent crime in the United States. And they identify violent crime as murder, rape, robbery, and aggravated assault. 1.2 million. 1 in 4 American women will experience domestic violence in her lifetime. And that might be as simple as emotional, right? I shouldn't even say simple, as simple compared to some of the more physical things. It might be emotional violence. But 1 in, let's see, where's the thing?
1 in 4.
One in 4 American women will just experience domestic violence in their lifetime. That's 1.3 million women a year. There's also, they did a survey of college women a while back, and they found that by age 24, 1 in 4 women has been sexually assaulted since age 14. 1 in 4. Divorce rates in the United States, first marriage, only 50%. Second marriage, 41%. Third marriage, second marriage, back up, it's 40 to 50%. First marriage is 41%, second marriage is 60%, and the third marriage is 73%. 73%, that's, some of us are on our third marriage, and, you know, use that however you like. There are 2.3 million American men behind bars. It's nearly 1% of the population. Suicide rates among active duty U.S. military personnel in 2012 so far are higher than the number of men killed in battle. Imagine that, servicemen taking their lives in greater numbers than losing their lives in battle. And suicide is the 7th leading cause of death in the United States. 4.9 men per 100,000. Age 65 and older, a few of us here might fall into that category, 14.3 per 100,000 population. Good thing we're down here with a lot less stress, huh? Males in the 15 to 24 year old age group, the men are 5 to 6 times more likely than women to take their lives. So I give you all these statistics because it really demonstrates that men are hurting. And as men hurt, what do they express towards others? Violence. Anger. The one emotion that is acceptable for men, is expected of men, is anger. And they take it out on others. They take it out on their wives, they take it out on their children, they take it out on their community, and the society as a whole. So, I gave you a little bit about the model that happens in indigenous tribes, about how the men take boys and initiate them into mature masculinity. But the Western culture has never really accepted the idea of rites of passage for boys. And along about 3 or 4 generations ago, men who had mentored boys since the early days on the family farm, men who had shown boys the value of work and how to balance responsibility and work with personal freedom and playtime. They started going off to the factories and they started going off to the offices. And all of a sudden those boys who had, for generations been mentored by their fathers no longer had a mentor. And so who became their mentor? Who showed them how to become a man? Their mothers, their teachers, mostly female.
The military.
Thank you. Yeah. Lady here said the military taught him how to become a man. Well, guess what? By the time a boy reaches old enough to become military, he's pretty much set in his ways. And he's been mentored for years and years by women for the most part. And the military is an initiation. It's a rite of passage. What other rites of passage do we have in today's society? College, might be, yeah. Gangs, prisons.
Being able to vote.
Being able to vote, yeah, that's not really a rite of passage. That's something you get automatically at 18. But it doesn't feel like a rite of passage. Maybe some might call it that. But I guess the point of that is, thank you very much for bringing it up. You know, the male soul cries out for initiation. The male soul cries out for being recognized as a man. And if he can't get it in a clean way, like through a bar mitzvah, or through an initiation in mature masculinity, he's probably going to go and seek out one of these other things. The military, for example, what kind of initiation is that? They teach him how to fight. They teach him how to kill. Gangs, prisons.
Getting drunk.
Getting drunk, yeah. Getting drunk and falling down, that's an initiation for young men, huh? So that the talk is about mature masculinity, and what's that?
How about high school sports for boys?
High school sports. That might be that. That might be another form of initiation. But here again, when they teach in high school sports, how to compete, how to win, sometimes how to cooperate with others.
Team spirit is some of the other
Team
things.
spirit. Yeah. But what does a coach do before the game? Go out there and win at all costs. Go out there and smash them. Go out there and kill them. Right? That's not kind of, I mean, certainly there's value to sports, but, that doesn't feel like a real clean initiation to me. So there's not a whole lot of ways to initiate boys into men in today's society, and
How about scouting?
scouting, that might be another one too. So let me hold off because I want to kind of get through some material that I brought here today. There is no, the qualities of mature masculine do not come out automatically. What they do is you can cultivate them, you can develop them, but they don't suddenly come out when you turn 18 or when you join the service or when you get into sports. It's only through come to understand yourself as a man and consciously cultivate these qualities that they really start to surface. And they're within every one of us. They're within every man. But only if we make a conscious decision to cultivate these do they start to evolve. So let me talk about those. There's 4 in my estimation. There's integrity, authenticity, a deep connection to feelings, and a mission of service in the world. Acknowledging my purpose in the world and living that purpose. So let's talk about each of those a little bit. What is integrity? Integrity is when my thoughts and my feelings and my actions and my intentions are all in alignment with one another, right? If I set an intention to walk 3 miles a day, and I go do it today, I am in integrity with myself. If tomorrow I skip and I say, well, it's raining today, or I don't feel so good today, and I skip it, I'm out of integrity with my intention. Now, I'll give you a little piece of wisdom that I got when I did start walking 3 miles a day earlier this year. Right after I got that, I got a little piece of gold that says, what's the difference between 99% commitment and 100% commitment to a goal? Any ideas, anyone?
1%.
Exactly, it's everything. A 99% commitment means that I've got a decision to make every day. All right, every day I've got to decide whether or not to walk. And it's a slippery slope into failure. 100% commitment, there's no decision to make day to day. I just do it. I find time to do it. I make time to do it. So I would invite you to think about that the next time you set an intention. Am I 100% committed? Am I 100% committed to that goal? If not, don't even bother doing it. So integrity is not just about being, lining up my thoughts, words, and actions in congruency, but also being accountable for our actions, right? and recognizing that our actions have consequences in the world. So, Jim, do you have an extra mic? Or Lamont, can I borrow your mic? I'm going to have a friend of mine come up and we're going to do a little thing. Okay? This is my friend Dave. Say hi to Dave.
Good morning.
So Dave, you showed up 10 minutes late this morning.
Make you late. Okay, yes, I did.
Yeah, you showed up 10 minutes late this morning, and I want to know what's up with that for you.
Well, I knew I needed to be here at 10:15, but I was depending on the people that I was with this morning to know, what time we needed to be there, and was figuring that they would get me here, get me to the church on time, so to speak.
Right. So what you made more important than your agreement with me to be here at 10:15 was this fact that you depended upon somebody else to be here.
Right.
Right. Is there a way that you could have been here at 10:15?
I could have been here at 10:15, yeah.
But you made something else more important.
Right.
So, can you tell me what the consequences of that might be?
Well, because I did not take it on myself to get here and take the responsibility, the consequences are that I left you waiting, for me to be here. I stood other people up and was not present for them, and was not fully present myself, because when I got here I was like, oh darn, I'm all late, I wanted to be on time.
Yeah. So all these people here were inconvenienced by the fact that you chose to be here later than what you had agreed to be here.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
And there's another piece about coming back into accountability within myself, and that piece is to do something for myself, actually, that reestablishes integrity in myself. So I would have a choice to do whatever to make sure maybe that we're here next time. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you. So that piece was not about shaming Dave, and by the way, that was just made up because he was here on time. But it's not about shaming, but it's about making certain that Dave understands that there are consequences to his actions, and giving him more consciousness around the fact that he did break an agreement with me, and in so doing, because he made it more important to ride with somebody else, or he made it more important to do something other than keep his agreement with me. So it's awareness of the importance of understanding that we are out of integrity with whoever we made the agreement with, whether that be someone else or myself, and then recognizing that there's consequences to that. Really important aspects of integrity and accountability. So, this is not a black and white thing. It's not as if there's anybody that is in integrity with himself and everybody else all the time. This is about a quality that we cultivate through processes maybe just like that, where we really come to understand ourselves a little better. So that's the integrity. Another act of integrity is when of lack of integrity is when I know that I'm doing something wrong, but I go ahead and I do it anyway. Anybody hear about Bob Diamond and Barclays Bank lately, and the LIBOR scandal? Right? He knew he was doing wrong by manipulating the LIBOR rates, and it affected hundreds of thousands of people around the world. But he did it anyway for his own personal gain, for the personal gain of his bank. There's so many cases of that in today's financial markets and political things. We don't need to go there. But so lack of integrity is a slippery slope. Once I start down that road, it starts showing up in other parts of my lives. And when I start the process of bringing myself back into integrity with myself and others, suddenly that starts showing up in other parts of my life as well. So integrity, the first quality of a mature master. Number 2 is authenticity. What is authenticity? Being honest and open with myself and others as to who I really am. Honest and open with myself and others as to who I really am. I'm going to give you a couple of examples here, and I want to ask the crowd, and feel free to just shout it out. What kind of facade am I wearing in each of these instances? What are the consequences of wearing that facade, and how might the outcome of the situation change if I were to drop the facade? Okay? A facade, there's authenticity, and then there's the facades that I put on myself that keep others from seeing who I really am. So here we go. Here's a good one. Not asking for directions when your wife's in the car and you know you're lost. Right? So what's the facade? Look, yeah. What's the facade?
Man.
I know what I'm doing. Yeah. I know what I'm doing. And, that's the facade that I'm wearing because I want to look like a real man to my woman. Right? So the next question is, what are the consequences of that facade? You get lost. It takes you longer to get where you're going, right? So if I were authentic and acknowledged that I were lost and went and asked for directions, how might the outcome change? Anybody?
Not much in Mexico.
My wife might have a heart attack.
You might get where you're going.
I want to back up to an interesting concept, because what men are doing, I have learned fairly recently, is we are raised to be shame-based organisms. And men then are doing everything we can to avoid the feeling of shame.
I'm going to get to that in a few minutes. Yeah, thank you, Victor. That's a really great point. But, the outcome, if I were to own that I really am lost and to go ask for directions at a gas station or something like that, we might get to where we're going, and guess what? My wife, my partner might say, wow, that's pretty cool. Right? So here's another one. Saying, let's see, you're acting angry, and your partner says, what's wrong? And you say, nothing. So what facade am I wearing there? I'm phony. I'm trying to tough it up. I'm trying to tough it up and be a man and not show how pissed off I am. Right? And so what's going to happen there? Right? What's going to happen there is it's going to boil up. And eventually, it's going to explode. Or, we're going to go to bed mad at one another. And it's going to build up. Right? So the outcome, if I were to just own that I'm angry and say something like, I feel angry when you do this. Now we start a dialogue. Now we start communicating. And we have the opportunity to solve things instead of just letting things blow up. I got a couple other ones. Here you go. Maintaining a strong, courageous exterior for your wife when inside you're being eaten up with something like fear. You're scared to death about something. Or maybe a friend died, or a child, or a parent. And you're hurting inside. Yet you don't show your partner. You don't show the world. What's going on there? What's going to happen? It's just going to continue to eat at you. You don't have the opportunity to clear the energy that's building up inside of you by talking about it with somebody else, by owning your feelings and talking about it with somebody else. So, authenticity is about being real, about this, what I'm feeling right now, the way that I'm acting right now. And it's another characteristic of the mature master. So the third one is, anybody remember what the third one is?
In touch with feelings.
It's connection to feeling. A deep connection to feeling. You know, from the time that we're boys, we're taught that feelings are something to be ignored, repressed, denied, suppressed. So, for instance, you know, you ever hear the expression, man up, get over it. Big boys don't cry. How about this one? When the going gets tough, no, the tough get an Uzi. Keep a stiff upper lip. If you don't stop crying, I'll give you something to cry about. That's a great form of love, isn't it? Not only do our parents teach us to suppress or repress what it is that we're feeling, and this is not just boys, this is girls too, but they say, here's a new feeling for you. Fear! You know, fear that you're going to get your back end whipped if you don't change, if you don't stop crying.
What about you wait until your father gets home?
You wait till your father gets home. Oh boy, we just had a conversation about that one last night. You know, that's a slippery slope, man. That you know, brutality. So boys, boys are taught that it's not okay to feel their feelings, and we grow up into men not being able to feel our feelings, not being able to access it. And when we get to the point in our lives, or if we get to the point in our lives, where we can access our feelings, there's this like whole big new world that's available to us. The emotional body is every bit as significant as our mental body, which is where most men are in their heads, not able to access their hearts. It's every bit as important as the physical body. It's every bit as significant as the emotional, physical, or the spiritual body. So being able to actually access the emotional body and know where in my body I feel anger, oh, right here. Fear, oh. Guilt, my shoulders. Guilt and shame weighs me down. Fear in the back of my neck. Joy. Joy is like, comes up from the chest and expands through my face. You know? Being able to access those, and those are the big five. I like to make it easy for men. Mad, sad, glad, fear, and shame or guilt. But shame or guilt are pretty much the same, but they're so it's making it easy for men to access that by giving them only 5 choices is a good way to start allowing men to feel their feelings. And again, this is not something that happens automatically because we've been taught since childhood to repress those. So, but when we start doing exercises to allow us to start to feel our feelings, now men start to access their emotional body. That's powerful.
I wanted to add something that's behind all of this. Okay, we are obviously carbon-based life forms, but men are testosterone-driven, which then
If you hold just a minute, let everybody hear you because nobody in the back can.
As all of us are carbon-based life forms, men are testosterone-driven. We're hormone-based. Our testicles produce the hormone testosterone, which then influences our growth and influences the rest of our hormones. We are fight or flight. The man's role in the society is to provide and to protect. And when we feel that we can't do that, or we're not doing that, and that's not acknowledged, then we get, "Argh."
Yes,
it's biological. We are different.
but that's very true. We are different, but the fact remains that all of us have an emotional body, and men basically can't access it unless they learn to access it in later life, because they're taught to repress it. They're taught that it's not okay to cry. They're taught that it's not okay to be afraid. That it's, you know, the only thing that's really safe for men to express is anger. People expect that men are going to express anger.
Why are they making such a dichotomy between men
wait for the mic and let everybody hear the question, please? Hold on.
Well, that's great. Will you hold on that question? Because
I just can say, why we make such a dichotomy between men and women? Don't we have all female parts and male parts in us, and aren't there men who are different, who are emotional, and women who are not? I mean, why do we say we have to make this dissection between men and women? Are you talking about some extreme men, or just every man?
that's a great question. I think, you know, I don't know that I have a simple answer to that, because I've never been a woman. You know, I can only express what I've learned as a man about accessing the mature masculine. And I'm going to ask we maybe hold off on questions until I'd like to get through some of this material, and then I'd love to take a question. So I don't know how to answer that, to be honest with you.
It's 18 minutes after.
Okay, good. So the last one, let me just go into the last one real quickly, and that's, and I hate to go into this quickly because this is so near and dear to my heart, is a deep connection, a sense of purpose in the world, a mission of service in the world. I'm going to give you my mission of service, just to give you an idea of what that's about. I create a world of self-empowered people by helping and encouraging each of us to achieve our spirit's greatness. Okay, one more time. I create a world of self-empowered people by helping and encouraging each of us to achieve our spirit's greatness. So I know my purpose, my reason for being here on this planet. And when I can live that mission, like by giving this talk today, helping and encouraging people to achieve their spirit's greatness, which is kind of their sense of purpose in the world, then it fills me. It fills me. I know that I'm doing what I came here to do. And so Bob Uecker wrote a great book. It was called Halftime. And in Bob Uecker's model, he said the first half of life is about success. This is for men. The first half of life is about success. It's about, you know, building a family, and building a career, and, you know, getting raises and getting promotions and moving up the corporate ladder and so on and so forth. And then the man goes into halftime, somewhere around 40 or 50 years old. He goes into what, you know, is commonly referred to in society as, what, middle age. And what happens when middle age kicks in? All of a sudden, the things that were important to me in the past don't seem to have so much meaning anymore. You know, what do men do in middle age? Or, you know, when they have a middle age crisis, right? They go out and they take on a mistress, or they go out and get a sports car, or, you know, some things happen that maybe they don't make happen. Things just start happening. Kind of a weird nature. They lose their job. You know, they've had a job for 20 or 30 years, and all of a sudden they lose their job. Because why? Because that's not important to them anymore. So, if a man successfully transitions halftime, according to Bob Uecker, the second half of his life is about substance. It's about leaving his mark or living his purpose on the earth to create a better world than what's here otherwise. So for me, that second, and believe me, I did my share of that middle-age crisis stuff. There's a lot of stories there. Go offline and talk about those. But at any rate, I was really blessed to become part of an organization that helped me understand my mission of service on earth. And I just mentioned that earlier. If you don't know what your purpose is, let me suggest to you that it can be a really, really great informer for what you do day to day, particularly down here. Because most of us are retired. Most of us don't have to do the 8 to 5 anymore. And we have the opportunity to give. We have the opportunity to live our mission of service in the world out here. And so let me tell you, life feels way more fulfilling when you have a grip on what it is that you're here to do, and you're doing it. So, those are the 4 qualities of mature masculine. There are many more, but those are the kind of cornerstone qualities in my mind. Integrity, authenticity, deep, being able to access your feelings, and a sense of mission or purpose in the world. And just FYI, if any man here is interested in cultivating those qualities within himself, we have a men's circle here, and I hate that a few of the men are here today. And there's information about that men's circle right over there under the tree. There's some little flyers that you can take if you like. It meets every Wednesday 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. at my place, and would be happy to invite any man here. So so that's kind of the end of my talk, and I'd like to open it up for questions.
Thank you so much. No, that was wonderful. So I'd just like to say, as a mature woman, that I identify with those same 4 qualities. And those are the same qualities that I try to nurture in the young people that I work with. I just wanted to tell one quick thing. I was in a workshop once with high school students, boys and girls, and they brought the boys into one room with a man, talk about these things, and the girls with a woman. And there was one girl, about 17, who could not identify with what the girls and women were saying. And it turned out her mother had left when she was very small, and she had been raised in a home with just a father and brother. And she had these masculine qualities that you've described. She looked perfectly feminine, but she thought like a guy.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah, thank you, Berto. When you talk about mature masculine, however, I think that you're talking about mature humanhood. And I would encourage you to maybe next time you present, go back and what is unique to the masculine psyche, and to clarify, are we talking about men or masculinity? Because if you understand men as a sex different than women, masculinity and femininity are carried by both. And so I wish you would have sort of divided that a little bit more for us, so we could really begin to dialogue with what is unique to the masculine side of the psyche, if you will, rather than the men versus the women.
Thank you. I guess I would just respond to that. Yeah, this is really not intended to be about men.
I would say that those are.
It's on again.
It's on again?
Yeah.
Okay. I would call those characteristics of the divine masculine.
What's the divine feminine?
You said before the term.
I'm not defining between men and women. It's not what I'm trying to define as between men and women. It's about characteristics, energetic or spiritual characteristics of the mature masculine. Right. So, did somebody else have? Yeah, I don't. Go ahead.
I just want to say I appreciate your pointing out the concept of people identifying their purpose. I mean, I think that is the greatest gift. That's the purpose, for instance, I spent a lot of time with the Lakotas and their vision quest. And the community supports the idea of an individual, men and women, going on a vision quest. Amriecha, it's called Crying for a Dream. And that purpose of that is really to understand your purpose. That's it. That's it. It's not to have a great conversation with God necessarily or have a vision, but it's an envisioning to understand what they believe is there is a vision that exists for everyone's life. The vision exists. Your responsibility is to discover it.
Yeah. I got a gift a few years back. a man in the middle of a presentation about something else mentioned something that was really, really important to me, and really stood out to me, is 4 important questions about life. Who am I? Why am I here? What are my gifts? And how am I bringing them to the world? So, why am I here is all about mission. It's all about understanding my sense of purpose in the world and my mission of service in the world. But then the next thing is, well, what gifts do I have? What gifts did I come in with? And how am I using those gifts to benefit the world? Another little piece, I read an article or a book one time that talked about the way that companies do performance reviews in the United States and pretty much all over the world is they say, here are your strengths and here are your weaknesses. Thank you very much for your strengths. You've got to work on these weaknesses between now and the next performance review. Well, they found that really effective companies say, here are your strengths. Here are your weaknesses. We're going to go give this work to everybody else and give you more of work that like this. And all of a sudden, people's productivity shoot off the chart. Right? These weaknesses, they give them to somebody else. Those are his strengths, not his strengths. Huh? Can you imagine that the increase in productivity might result from that? So if we know what our gifts are, and we can focus on how we're taking them to the world, we can maximize our impact on the world.
Any other questions or comments?
I've been trying not to say this. But I believe that the aspects of masculinity that you've described today are the ones that have been societally suppressed and are really, and I agree with the other comments, human aspects that men have simply not been allowed to develop and express, especially in the first half of their lives. So I'm glad that there is at least a forum where men can explore these parts of themselves. But I do believe they are also feminine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Berto, I was just feeling the energy here, of the men and the women, and the tension that is there. And I appreciate the differentiation that you've made about the difference between it's not about men and it's not about women so much as about masculine and about feminine, which we both embody.
Which we both embody, exactly, all of us.
We have one here.
Thank you, David.
My question is, as a wife, as a girlfriend, as a mother, how can you help your son, your wife, your son, your brother? Because several times we can see those programs that they won't accept them. Yeah. So we are with them. Certainly we as mothers, we raise them and we gave them some knowledge or some feelings. However, when they grew, they are by themselves and they are so independent, they won't accept their weakness because if they cry, if they feel sad. At that moment, what is our role?
Great question. Thank you very much. The expression comes to mind, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Right? You can offer, for instance, you can offer that, hey, there's help out here. There's help available to you. But you can't make them go take advantage of that help. It's the man has to want to do it himself. I can't tell you how many girlfriends have said, will you talk to my husband? Will you talk to my, my boyfriend, whatever, get him involved in this kind of program, in this kind of movement. It's like, If the man doesn't want it, I can talk, I'll just put him to sleep. You know? So the man's got to want it.
That drops out, was unexplained, it's not any movement or anything, so you just have to wait and do it.
It's back on.
Referring back to the initial statement about masculinity, you referred to the Marlborough man riding a horse, smoking a cigarette. How the hell did they get the horse to smoke a cigarette?
I have a little comment and a little bit to address your question, which is a huge question. And it's very important to understand how we learn our behaviors. Because we learn not consciously. We learn our behaviors, we copy, we model our parents' behaviors. So how do you, up until the age of 6 years old, everything you do impacts your child. So how do we make healthy, affectionate boys and girls? Okay, first of all, we have to understand the psychology of the boys and the girls. They are different because they're testosterone or estrogen-driven systems. However, if number one is in our relationships with our significant others, we model loving, caring behavior. We're going to raise loving, caring children. Okay, so when dad comes home from work and he gets a hug from mom and the boy gets hugs, then we're gonna raise children that do that. They model. You walk like your parents. I walk just like my dad, up and down instead of straight ahead. And I'm a lot my dad. And fortunately, my dad was a great dad. But modeling behavior is really crucial.
Anybody else? Oh.
Well, Berto, this is not a question, but I wanted to address the tension that I felt here between this is not man, it's both men and women. And what I felt Berto wanting to make as a point was to acknowledge the fact that women in our societies and many societies have the ability to get in touch with their compassion and their emotions when men are not allowed to do that. And so what I feel is important for me as a point is to call upon the compassion of our feminine for the inability of our masculine. And rather than to bang on each other, to allow that dynamic to nurture, not excuse the masculine, but nurture and call for the compassionate, emotional side of the masculine to heal itself as well, or to allow itself to express in that way. Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you all. I appreciate your listening this morning. And by the way, this is not truth with a capital T. This is just my truth. And so it might not be true for you. I invite you to find your own truth. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and what I would like to tell you now is about our next week's presenter. It's Beryl Doris. She's right back there. And her name is spelled B-E-R-Y-E-L, so I think it should be Beriel. But she said no. Her topic is about the experiences working with motivational gurus, one of which is Tony Robbins, and peeling the onion, peeling back the layers of things that we've built up. Tony Robbins is famous for the firewalk experience, which is symbolic. It's a metaphor for breaking through limitations. You can change things that you learned in childhood, that you modeled, that weren't at all constructed, perhaps, and change those beliefs that no longer serve us as adults, if we choose to. The presenter has authored a book, Getting Out From Under and Daring to Live Your Dreams. It's in the LCS library, so we look forward to her next week. So if you remember to turn back on your cell phones, pick up the coffee cups and stack up the chairs. Thanks for coming. Hope to see you next Sunday.